For those who are new to the channel, 2 years ago in 2023, I quitted my job to start this business in Singapore. I know that many of you are not into entrepreneurship and may find this unrelatable and not relevant to your life, but maybe some of you are curious about this journey. Was it really worth it to quit the job and start a business? Let me share everything that I have experienced and learned along the way. For context, I do run a social media / content creation business in the form of a company, which is a private limited. And this actually started as a side hustle in January 2021. So it has been 4 years now. So 2 years in from 2021 to 2023, I was doing it as a side hustle, right? On top of my full-time corporate job. Then in 2023, I quit my corporate job to focus on this full-time. Now, setting up a business definitely wasn't easy, even for myself. But with the right support, I overcame those challenges, which I'll share more about later. And if you want to join a like-minded community of close to 19,000 members in the Honey Money SG Telegram to build your wealth and financial independence your way, then join us at Honey Money SG Telegram. Now, let's start from the origin. Why did I eventually started a company instead of just running it as a self-employed? I think that there are fundamentally 3 reasons, and the first reason being salary reasons. Because I want to draw a fixed salary, a fixed income, and you should know by now that self-employed persons have a 30% haircut when they are trying to apply for a new loan, whether they qualify or not. So having a fixed salary income from a company as an employed individual is more reliable to the banks, and that is important when I'm trying to apply for my property loan. Second reason is definitely because of tax. So you should know that companies in Singapore actually do enjoy a variety of tax benefits such as startup tax exemption as well as various benefits that companies may receive during the budget announcement. Then the number 3 reason is because of business liabilities, and I actually learned of this after having tea with Mr. Lu back then in 2022. So after having a great conversation with him, I decided that yes, it's the time to go private limited because of reducing the business liability that may potentially happen during my business lifetime. So it is more of a risk management approach. And I know that what some of you are thinking, because you would realize that actually starting a business seems so difficult, so complicated. There is so much paperwork, there is so much compliance, there are so many things that I may not know about. And it definitely sounds very daunting for a beginner to start a business. But I guess there are better ways to educate yourselves on that. Firstly, what do you need to start a company? You will need to register a business with ACRA, which is a government body regulating businesses in Singapore. The second requirement is that you need to hire a corporate secretary for essential compliance matters, and that can either be your own employee or an outsourced one. And number 3, you definitely need someone to do the bookkeeping and the accounting services. And like I said, this can either be an employee or you can outsource it. Now, as an ex-chartered accountant, I could do the bookkeeping and accounting services myself. But what about the other 2 then? The corporate secretary as well as registering a business in Singapore. I have totally zero idea at all. So back then I searched around online and eventually found Osome to help me incorporate my business in Singapore. Whether you are a local or foreign entrepreneur, Singapore offers great tax benefits. And Osome makes it even better by handling the entire process remotely and paper-free. With Osome's expert accountants and intuitive software, you can leave your financial admin, taxes, bookkeeping, and accounting to them. Everything happens in one platform. Track invoices, monitor cash flow, and get real-time insights into your business, all while enjoying Singapore business-friendly tax environment. Join over 15,000 entrepreneurs who are running their business better with Osome. Incorporate your Singapore company today and let Osome do the heavy lifting. Most importantly, click on this exclusive link to enjoy 16% off any Osome services when you use my link to register today. So we have talked about the origin. Let's move on to the next section, which is the journey. Now, when you are in the social media / content creation business, viewership and attention is key because you want to retain your viewers to keep on viewing. And how to keep your followers viewing is that you need to have that strong connection so that they will come back and view your videos after having that relationship. Now, at the start of a business, I was really focused on quantity, focusing on getting myself out there, the most exposure, the more people, the more eyeballs on me, and that will be the strategy back then. And I could honestly say that I was working myself tirelessly from 9 AM to 9 PM every day, 5.5 days work week. And even on Sunday, sometimes if I have unfinished work for the week. But I guess that's ultimately essential because you are in a scaling phase of the business where you really need to be very hands-on, you need to be highly involved, and there are a lot of things that you need to do as you start out a business. So generally, the trend is higher input equals to higher output equals to higher income, but definitely more time and effort involved. But at what cost though? For some people, it may mean less time spent on their family, on their children, and as well as other gatherings. Then for someone else, it may be their health, right? They're taking a back seat on their health, not eating healthily, not getting enough sleep, not having enough exercise. So my current state is that I've scaled back on my working hours. I only work like normal office hours now from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. from Monday to Friday. So it's like a normal office worker. I do not work on weekends or at nights anymore. Then some of you may have this question. Since you're running your own business, just like a self-employed, can't you just take a weekdays off and then, work on the weekends so that you can have more time to yourself? And the truth is, I can. But my clients can't because they all have to work like the normal Monday to Friday, 9 to 6 p.m. And sometimes my rest days get disrupted because sometimes I have to attend to an important message or an important action that the client requires me to do. And that will be really disruptive to your rest days. So I really move back to the normal working hours to suit the schedule. Now, one thing I learned along this journey is that you remember that your clients are also normal working employees. So they would rather choose someone who they can work well with, can communicate well with, and don't have any major hiccups working with them rather than someone with the lowest rate card. And here is where I pride my business with fast turnaround time, fast responsive time, and of quality work. Which brings me to the final point. What is the future of my business? From last year onwards, I had a shift in the strategy where I no longer focus on quantity. I only focus on quality. I will only make videos when I do feel that there is something important to share. Because I am in a stable financial stage now where I can start saying no to additional projects, additional campaigns where I need to do more time, more effort for that result. I have also raised my rates so that number one, I can cope with inflation, and number two, I can say no to lower paid projects that are not worth the effort. So nowadays, you'll see much less sponsored content on my channel compared to 2 years ago. And you realize that in the past few months, most of my videos are really not sponsored. And the truth is, I'm very okay to do non-sponsored content because I really want to share good education content that can really help my viewers to better their personal finance life. Because as you know, there's this new law that states that we as financial content creators, not licensed, we cannot really go and give financial advice, So what we can really do is that we cannot give you that specific advice, but we can share our thought process so that if it is applicable to you, then you may apply it to yourself and see if it works out for you. So this video is really more of business sharing, and I know that it's really not relatable. Usually when I talk about business, there's very low viewership because none of you are interested. But if this really relates and resonates with you, please comment business +1 so that I can make more of this series. And for those of you who need personalized help, I do have a one-to-one business consultation service. Okay, it's zero financial advice. It's more about talking about business, scaling, and all that strategy and income stuff. So the conclusion here is that running this business for close to 2 years full-time now, what have I learned? In January 2024 last year, I closed my first financial year and filed for my annual returns. That was such a satisfying feeling. And since it was my first time doing it, I had some trouble, but I did ask Osome for advice on how to do it, and they helped me along the way. So if you really don't want to do it yourself, you may engage Osome to help you do it. It is much faster and more convenient because you really don't know anything when you start out your business. And I'm proud to close out my second financial year in year 2025 January, and it's still profitable for now. But I understand that this may not be the case for the future, as well as other new businesses starting out, because we all heard that most businesses close within like the first 3 years or the first 5 years or something, and even so, they may not be profitable for at least 3 years until they break even. So you see, starting a business is really scary, and ultimately some will fail. But if you don't start now when you're young and can afford to take risks, then when? Until you are in your 40s, your 50s, and you can take less risks because you have higher liabilities? Think for yourself. And that brings me back to my memory in 2023 when I published my video on why I quit my job in 2023. Then you should check this video out and see my thoughts back then.